Still to come, invisible children. With no way to prove their identity, thousands in Thailand's remotest regions are denied their basic rights.
This is World Insight on CCTV News. Having a state to call your own is something most of us take for granted. Not so for Thailand's invisible children. Tens of thousands live in remote areas far from the modern world. Many never get birth certificates, and that leads to big problems when they get older. They can't obtain identity cards, or vote, or get jobs, receive health care, or even get an education. Officially, they don't exist. The Thai government is attempting to tackle this enormous problem. But in many ways, they are people who have simply been forgotten. Our correspondent Martin Low has this special report from Thailand.
She calls herself a wingless bird, unable to venture more than a few kilometers from home or improve her simple life. 16-year-old Runglada was born in Thailand, but is stateless. Her birth far from city authorities was never registered. Officially, she doesn't exist. With no papers, she cannot get school qualifications or go to university. She's not eligible for an identity card, work or access to hospitals. If she leaves her home region, she will be arrested. Runglada is bright. She can even speak a little English. She'd like to become a doctor to help the people at her remote village who have no medical care. But it's a dream that's unlikely to ever be realized.
I feel really sad because I am the person and I was born in Thailand, but I don't have the paper. Yes, I feel sad very much.
It's estimated there are at least 1 million stateless people in Thailand. Tens of thousands belong to hill tribes, such as the Aka, Karen or Lahu, living in isolated villages in the mountains around Chiang Rai, near the borders with Myanmar and Laos. Some are the children of refugees and people who've entered Thailand illegally. Many more are from generations of hill tribe people. Parents often give birth at home without outside involvement. Many don't know they must register a birth, or simply don't bother because of the distance to the city.
If you are stateless, you have no paper, you don't exist, you are invisible. And because of that, you cannot avail, in many countries, you cannot avail of any kind of services, education or health services. You will not be able to do banking, you cannot have passport, you cannot travel. Just invisible, and that is really the biggest impact if you are stateless, if you are not registered.
The Thai government sends officials to these remote regions to try to maintain records. But the hill people are nomadic and move around to scrape a living. The sheer numbers involved are overwhelming. Without papers, it can be almost impossible to say who would be eligible for citizenship. Most of the hill tribe people speak a dialect that mainstream Thais cannot understand. In a major step in 2005, the government began to provide free schooling to all up to age 18, regardless of whether they have official status. It means children like Runglada can obtain a basic education, but when she leaves school, her future remains uncertain, her opportunities limited. And there aren't yet enough schools, so many children still receive no education because their teachers are far from their homes.
They need to help from the government. Yes, if the government help them, they can have they can have a better life. I feel the young like me, if they have paper, I think they are very lucky. But I'm not so lucky. I don't have paper.
With no official status or access to regulated work, children from the hill tribes are open to abuse and exploitation. Many are taken away and forced to work for low wages. Girls can become the victims of sex traffickers.
Most of them, they had to be work in the village, daily village, like work in the fields to get 120 baht per day, or if it's the younger one, will get like 50 baht. And then they have to work like 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning until in the evening, every day, no Saturday and Sunday. The most effect is to the girls. If the girls, for the boys, they can go for the labor work, but for the girls, they have to go to just like a wet test, and most of them will become a sex worker or working in the karaoke bar, which is quite risky for the sex exploitation.
The United Nations says it is a basic human right to have citizenship of a country, and Thailand is a signatory to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. But it's a problem on such a scale that no one is suggesting answers or solutions will be easy. Aid agencies send workers to educate parents on the need to register child births and have begun DNA testing to establish family links. They're also encouraging the building of schools closer to remote communities and are asking the government to accelerate programs to provide documents to stateless people. It may be that things are slowly changing. Thailand now has a government elected on promises to improve the lives of the poor and less privileged. Many hope that will include children in villages like these, who live and breathe, yet officially do not exist. For World Insight, I'm Martin Lowe with the hill tribes of northern Thailand.
The invisible children, so-called, from Thailand.